Welcome to Bookworms. I'm Sarah and this is Haley. Today we are reading Frankie Frog and the Throaty Croakers by Freya Hardis. There comes a time in every young frog's life when he or she lets out their very first croak. It is a very important occasion, no matter what the little frog is doing, whether they are eating breakfast, learning math at school, hopping over the water lilies, or even sitting on the toilet. Everybody has to stop what they're doing and celebrate that little frog's first croak. But for one little frog, a frog called Frankie, that first croak never came. At first his parents said, "Don't worry, Frankie, your croak will come. You just have to be patient." But years passed and he grew from a little frog into a big frog. With not even the teeniest of croaks, he exercised his throat muscles, gargled pond water, and listened to all the great croakers from froggy history. But nothing worked. Other frogs could croak, and the birds could twitter, and the crickets could chirrup, and the ducks could quack. It seemed everyone in the pond had a song of their own, everyone but Frankie. He would never enter the annual croak competition or join in at croak o'clock, when all the frogs gathered together for an evening serenade of croaking. One night, Frankie was wishing for a croak when he heard a new sound from far across the pond. It was sweet and pure and quite unlike any croak he had heard before. The sound buzzed through the bulrushes and fluttered over the flowers. It jingled and jangled and tingled and tangled. Frankie followed the sound to a clearing in the woods, where a beautiful princess sat watching 4 joyful humans playing 4 strange objects. As they played, music sounded. This must be a music machine, thought Frankie, the secret to that beautiful sound. They are making music without croaking, Frankie thought. Maybe I can too. Frankie jumped for joy. He hipped and hopped and flipped and flopped. Then he silently thanked the princess and the players and ran back home as fast as he could. Luckily, frogs are very good at making things, and he had his own music machine ready before dawn. "I think I'll call you Banjo," he thought to himself, then let out a tiny froggy yawn. He picked up the machine just as the morning song of the pond began. The first sound that Frankie made with Banjo was horrible. The second sound was pretty horrible too. But after the 88th sound, it actually sounded pretty good. And by the 200th sound, it sounded amazing. Felicity, Fergus, and Fitton heard the beautiful sound and were surprised to see who was making it. "It's Frankie, the frog who can't croak," they said. "But what a lovely sound he is making now." He helped them make 3 music machines. Clang, clang, twang, one that honked, honk, one that bashed, and one that plucked. At first they sounded pretty terrible together, but after lots of honking, bashing, and plucking, and a bit of help from Frankie himself, they actually sounded good. In fact, better than good, they sounded fantastic. The frogs who had gathered together for croak o'clock lifted their froggy ears to the most beautiful sound they had ever heard. They set off to find where it was coming from. "Ladies and gentle frogs, including Frankie Frog and the Throaty Croakers," Felicity Frog croaked. Frankie grinned, and the band played all evening and way after froggy bedtime. Frankie, Felicity, Fergus, and Fenton got better and better, and this year when the annual croak competition came around, Frankie wanted to be a part of it. But the 3 croak competition judges shook their heads. "Only croaking frogs can enter the croak competition," they said. Felicity, Fergus, and Fenton looked at Frankie sadly, but Frankie had another brilliant idea. If he'd made a human machine like Banjo, surely he could make a froggy machine too. Frankie set off with his friends to collect all things froggy. Felicity gathered the freshest pond water, Fergus plucked the loveliest lily pad, and Fenton found the biggest, bushiest bulrush. Frankie added some nice green water roots and made the first ever croaking machine. At first it sounded very strange. The second time it sounded slightly better, and by the third it sounded fabulous. When the crowd discovered Frankie and the Throaty Croakers were playing, they threw up a cheer. The Throaty Croakers were playing, and in the midst of all the music, Frankie introduced his new croaking machine and won the whole competition. The Throaty Croakers cheered loudest of all. All the frogs of the pond clapped and cheered and jumped for joy, and Frankie made a big, happy, throaty croak. Other frogs could croak, and the birds could twitter, and the crickets could chirrup, and the ducks could quack. Everyone in the pond had a song of their own, including Frankie. The end. Bye.